budget,
No,
but
I don't know that
that's okay.
specifically.
That's okay. Because then I'll go back
Yeah,
and
we'll
look
check.
at all of these for each of those, to see if we're required to have an individual one.
How many chairs you got there?
Bet you wish you had one, huh? Yeah. No, they're pretty nice.
They're not squeaky, are they?
No, they better not be.
If they cost too much, I'm gonna make them squeak one way or another.
We can only do yours, that's fine. Sure. That's a new job. Good? New job, good? Okay, 6:30, and we'll call the Washington City Commission, City Commission to order. See, my agenda says special meeting on it. Okay, first of all, we have approved the, I guess what I'm going to do is I'm going to add one item to the agenda, and that is the John Kugler fence permit. We'll have that on line 19. Okay, so first is approve the minutes of October 14th. Everybody have a chance to review the minutes?
Make a motion to approve the minutes from October 14th.
Second.
Discussion? Colin?
Yes.
Mike?
Aye.
No?
Aye.
Yes. Oh, I was also going to mention, too, Kit's not going to be here tonight. So. Okay, next we have financials. Everybody have a chance to review those?
If you notice, I added that new report at the very end there. Just I exported into Excel. Just wanted to get your thoughts on the layout. Did you like how it looked? Did you want any changes? It's kind of nice, and you can see by fund how each fund is doing for the year.
Mm-hmm. I mean, the more information we get, the more I like it. You know, it definitely, tells you where you're at.
Yeah, I like it. I'll move to approve the financials.
I'll second.
Discussion? Colin?
Aye.
Mike?
Aye.
No?
Aye.
Yes. Okay, we're going to, go to Midwest Assistance Program. Karen Thomas, Water and Sewer Ordinance. Jump ahead a little bit. Hi, come on up.
So, the three of us had met on, what day was that? Wednesday, to discuss updates to the current ordinances for water and sewer utilities. I have been on the road a lot since then, so I did not get anything finalized, but I began going through all the notes that we made during the meeting and adding that to the current one. I did make a few copies. I did not know how many to make, so I've got 4, so somebody's going to get gypped here. It's not formatted at all, because I had to go from PDF back to Word doc or what have you. I did highlight some of the changes that were made for you to review, because some of them, like adding the private fire protection services, I took some of that wording straight out of Bismarck's ordinances,
Okay.
and they may not specifically pertain to your system, I don't know. So that's something that you guys have to look at to see if that pertains. And then I know we had talked about a few things such as the freezing water pipes, the wording for the every building structure or consumer in the city must have a separate utility service connection. We're talking about like the garage situation. So I made a note with an asterisk for wording. I don't know how deep in the weeds you want to get into this at this meeting, or do you want to just look at it and
They
come
don't,
back?
all they know is, I mean, you don't even know that we've reviewed it, so
Okay.
they
Right.
know nothing.
Okay, I didn't know
So-
that you weren't.
Yep, so we had,
Okay.
Karen come in and help us with redoing the water and sewer ordinances. We have, I think it was 10 that we counted. Parts of some of the older ones are still in place and not addressed in the last one, so we were asking to consolidate it into one new ordinance. So that's what she was doing, is taking our old ordinances, looking at our current ordinance of 140, and maybe just updating it all into one ordinance and just adding some language that we thought was
More relevant,
more
up to
relevant
date.
and up to date,
Mhm.
yes. So,
Exactly. So I can pass these out to you guys if you want to look and see. 90% of this is still your ordinance 140 as the title says there. Some of the changes I did not highlight because it was literally just some, I omitted a word like deposit or what have you from it. It wasn't a big deal. Some of the stuff that is highlighted, you may want to, I didn't get myself a copy either, just make sure I know. The two things I wanted to, sorry, I've been up since really early, been on the road all day. While I was traveling, I asked a couple of my other communities I work with that I trust their judgment on how to handle the frozen pipe situation that some of you were dealing with last year. In particular with a customer that has, say, their curb stop under city streets. You know, yes, it's the responsibility from curb stop to their house, but what happens when the street needs to get dug up?
Right.
And I also emailed you a copy of, is it Red Bluff? Or, I can't remember which city, what their policy was. Everybody kind of did something different. The two cities I work with that I think have a pretty good city government as far as handling things are Hatton and Mayville, and they both kind of said the same thing, that they have a handful, like you guys do, of customers that happen to have their curb stops kind of under a city street where it's not ideal.
Mm-hmm.
And they have it in their policy to where, yes, that is still the customer's responsibility, and whatever contractor they hire, when they fix that repair, whatever it is, a frozen pipe or whatnot, then that street does have to get put back according to spec of the city. Then the contractor here, the compaction and the substrate, and whatever they need. So if they say 100%, it's still the customer's responsibility. I think the one thing that you kind of like case by case. Others might talk to said they take theirs kind of case by case. It just depends on the customer and situation. So currently, I worded it in there. And now, oh yeah, I can tell you what. Where did I put that in there? Yeah, I think I put it. I worded it in there. case by case for now, until you guys will just decide what you think is best for your city, and how you want me to word that in your ordinance. If it's worded in such a way that it's just case by case, and you would kind of open, or do you want it to be for all the customers, no matter where that curb stop is located?
Well, that was all, because if you wanted
Yeah.
language in there, how to handle situations, so
Yeah, and
that's something, you know.
And like another town I talked to, they let it, because they well, it's not your fault that it was not in the ideal place, you had no idea it was in the street and not under the curb where it should be, so we'll, help deal with it. So it just kind of depended on the opinion of that town. So it's right or wrong, so you have to just let me know. So I think the two meetings at this point I want to cover, make sure that a private fire hydrant deal is appropriate. I want me to word the frozen pipe thing. And what else did and the word separate. I have asterisk. I should just take out the word separate. That would fix the issue that we were talking about the other day with saying it every. The garage one, yeah, it was oddly worded, because there are situations where maybe the garage doesn't have its own separate hookup because it's hooked up to the house. So I thought maybe eliminating the word separate would solve the problem, because then it's still hooked up to a meter, but it's not a separate meter because it's attached to the house. Even though at one point maybe it had its own when it belonged to somebody else.
So are you thinking then you're going to go back now and revise this, go back to the older ordinances and revise, bring forward whatever we need to do to this?
I looked at some of the old ones, and I think this 140 covered majority of it appropriately. A lot of the stuff that was in the older ones really didn't apply anymore, or just it was just different language, same message, so to speak.
Sure.
But I will look at it more closely because I was on a tight schedule for going over it with a fine-tooth comb. But I wanted to at least kind of show you where I started with it. I eliminated that utility deposit amount and things like that. So sorry I didn't bring you a copy.
No, that's fine. That's fine.
I didn't know.
That's fine.
So yeah, if anything pops up or you think of anything, just let me know, and I can add anything else that comes into mind. I did suggest, now that winter's approaching a little bit too quickly, in my opinion, putting out that public service announcement, so to speak, again, reminding people, hey, it's getting cold. You may want a thermometer to check your water temperature. If it gets below, what is it suggested? Is it 32, I think? I forget the suggested water temperature that you need to start leaving your water trickle to prevent your pipes from freezing. Maybe if some of those customers that froze last year are a little more vigilant in doing that a little sooner, maybe you won't have as many issues. And if they don't have a thermometer, it'd probably be even cheaper for you guys to just say, here, Merry Christmas, have a thermometer, than to deal with a broken water pipe. So that would be my suggestion. And again, some people put in their ordinance, that, well, the city will give you a break on your water bill, and most cities just say, no, it's the cost of living somewhere cold, it's on you, that you have to run your water. So that's going to be up to you guys, too. If somebody comes back and says, well, hey, if I have to run this, my water bill's going to go up. In my opinion, it's still cheaper than fixing a frozen pipe.
Right, yeah.
So that's just kind of the way it goes.
Sure.
But it's up to you guys, how you want to handle that.
Okay.
And that's where we are. So, any questions?
No, well, that's okay. We'll
Yeah,
read through
just
this
look it
at
over,
one
yeah.
time and-
Yep, and I'll just keep plugging away at what I see, and then
So any changes you made are the ones that are highlighted, is that?
majority of them. Some of them I just literally eliminated like a word, like
Oh, okay.
application. I think I changed that to
Yours
agreement.
is highlighted?
Um,
Oh, you got the highlighted.
Right.
Ours aren't highlighted.
Oh, I'm sorry. No, they aren't.
No,
I just
that's
said-
what I was wondering, I'm like.
Oh,
okay,
you
highlighted.
know why? Because I think I did one out of the printer, and then I ran it through this
Oh,
copier,
okay.
so I must not have copied the
Too bad
highlight.
for you.
I'm sorry, I didn't even look, I just
Does not
assumed
even
that
make
the
a
copier
difference.
would have copied the highlight. Oh, shoot, sorry.
Well, we can,
Well, if
we
you
can
wanted
have
to
the.
email it to
Yeah.
me, then
Yeah, I
I
can
can
do
email
that.
it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just
Yeah.
email and.
Okay, you bet.
Okay.
One question, do we have every shut off to every person, or do we have like one shut off doing one or two people? Do you know? We're all,
Well, generally,
old times, sometimes.
As things get replaced, everybody gets their own, if
Right.
that's the case.
I mean, the old part of town, do we know of any?
I think generally,
Sure, there's still some out there that are. Do we have language in there for
Brian,
that?
Would you agree with that? There's
Oh,
still
yeah.
some curb stops that,
Feed
one curb
multiple?
stop for two houses?
I don't think there is.
Okay.
They're all separated now.
So the Rodriguez situation, is that one home?
That's was at that time considered one home. The only one we had, the last one was charging, when it
Oh, yeah,
ran down to
yeah,
what's his
yeah,
face, across
yeah.
that lot. That's
Okay,
the only,
so we're good there, okay.
yeah, we should be good there. I don't know of anybody that's sharing one.
And we should,
Okay, I'll email that. Shows the highlight. And then we'll go from there.
Yeah,
All
thank
right.
you so much.
Thank you.
bet.
Thank you.
Okay, public sale bid opening, number 4. You know what, are you guys in a hurry to get out of here? No. Okay. Okay, so we got the bids, we got 2 bids. We will open them. First bid is for Chris Tresbeck for the truck-mounted vacuum sweeper, $1,234.56. Second bid. Shiloh Christian School for the floor coverings, $7,100. That's a good bid. What was our minimum on the floor coverings? Wasn't it like 4,000 something?
No, I was just gonna find that here. I got pulled out. I put it somewhere here. So the original cost was $15,130.35. You divide it by 2 with $7,565.18. That was what you had said would be the minimum, would be the half the purchase price.
Okay.
So it'll be up to you if you want to accept that lower bid.
Not doing any good sitting there.
No, it's not. It's almost half.
Right, I'd say let's accept that bid.
Make a motion.
I make a motion, we accept the bid of the floor coverings to Shiloh Christian School for $7,100.
I'll second that.
Further discussion on that? Colin?
Aye.
Mike?
Aye.
Well,
Aye.
yes. Next one's for the, truck-mounted sweeper. Yeah, that's just way too low. And-
Well, what's it worth? It's worth nothing sitting there.
Yeah, I know, but we can, advertise it on that public surplus. That goes to the whole country. And it's more of a specialized thing, And $1,000 for a, $100,000 unit, probably a little low.
$100,000 unit, if you find a buyer.
Well, we have more of a chance for a buyer with that other way. And then, and you know what, and Chris can always put in another bid if we go that route, so. I'm gonna move that we reject the bid for the sweeper.
I'll second.
Discussion? Colin?
Aye.
Mike?
Aye.
Well,
Aye.
yes. Okay. Snow removal bid opening, we have one. That is from Chris Tresbeck. He has tandem dump truck, $100 per hour, side dump, $150 per hour, loader with blower, $200 per hour, and different loader with blower for $250. I think that's what he took last year, wasn't it? So we have one.
All of this stuff.
I'll second that.
Discussion? No?
Aye.
Mike?
Aye.
No?
Aye.
Yes. Okay, Mike Nelson, waiver of fees for the Moore Hall.
Yeah, so he has a league of basketball young children, and so fifth grade boys, you can see there, that is, that's from October through January, basketball waiver fees. He's got a schedule from 7:30 to 30 Tuesdays, and 6:30 to 8 o'clock on Thursday evenings. Not to the school.
Yeah, I'm really thinking we need to start charging for some of this.
Well, that's kind of my thought, when we did all this work to, like every time we turn around, we're waiving fees for everything.
All right.
And the other people are paying for some of these activities too. So I'm not seeing something special about this. I make a motion that we stay with what it is, the $10 per deal. This is a motion.
I'll second that. Any further discussion?
Is this, is it like a nonprofit, or is there like a charge that the parents pay for the kids to go?
I don't know if that's,
It's a travel basketball team program,
Oh, okay.
so they usually probably spend $200 per tournament to go. So we're looking for a place to practice, because the high school's always full, be my guess. So that's what they usually do.
Yeah. Thanks. Any other discussion? Colin?
Aye.
Mike?
Aye.
No?
No.
Yes. Okay, Park board. Concession stand and pool.
Yeah, let's start with the concession stand. Oh, that's kind of the same one, but yeah.
Oh, a little updated.
That was labeled out better.
Okay.
The first thing is that red line there. We own above that red line. You guys own below the red line.
Okay.
You want to put in a concession stand. Everything you want to do would be on your property. We want to add a 16 by 24 concession stand down there for the youth baseball field. And then if you look out further where that white square is at, the high school also uses that for the girls softball program. And they want to put a scoreboard back there behind the fence. So we need, looking to get permission from the city if it's okay to locate this concession stand, do the scoreboard, and then we need to run electrical all the way around that field, to the concession stand, from the concession stand back up to the ball stop. So the high school wants electricity for speakers and stuff,
Mm-hmm.
for the softball, so they have an announcer.
Okay.
So that's what we need to see if we can get that approved, or
I
guys think?
really think we should deed that portion of that over to the park board, instead of having that line there, just, find a line here, and that goes over to you. That's what I think we should do.
For the longest time, it was like no man's land.
Right, and maybe since you do soccer on the rest of that, maybe we need to go up almost to the water treatment plant hill, you know what I mean?
And if you want someday to put you know, facilities in your concession for bathrooms that you guys talked about, it would all kind of be set up so you guys could do that at a future date.
Yeah.
You know, if not at this time, but, you know,
Right.
further down the road. Because that's the biggest complaint I hear from people, you know, concessions, that there's no bathrooms. And they don't like the porta potties. That's just the way it is.
And we looked at that, just the financial cost of putting in water and sewer and
Concession
essentially
stand.
winterizing it. We're gonna start with something and build from there.
Right.
What does everybody think on deeding that land over?
I don't mind deeding some of it. I don't know that I'm okay with deeding all the way to the water treatment plant, because we don't know what the future holds for
Expansion.
expansion.
That's true.
You know,
That's true.
you know, I mean, as far as what they're using for the actual field there, I'm okay with that.
Right.
You guys, well, I know you do, you keep the maintenance up on them during the summer anyway, right?
Yeah.
You guys mow that out.
You guys mow that whole area, that, where the soccer field's up?
Chad, we all that, right?
Or do our guys mow that?
Oh,
Our guys mow that, right?
Know that. Yeah, it depends on who's there.
Yeah. It's a give and take.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's,
The only thing is, we've got that water line that runs underneath there. Not to their field, that's the main water line
Right.
runs underneath.
Yeah. That's why we need someone to approve where we're gonna wanna place it, so it's not in the way of the water line or repairs or whatnot. And there was also an issue with the snow removal, like you guys piled snow up over there someplace too, where we're thinking about putting like such a stand.
What we're looking at, he's got it drawn up really well, but roughly where that water shut off is out there for the sprinkler store.
Right.
That's where their concession's at.
That's where we're thinking of putting it, right there. In that general area.
Yeah, it probably won't be as close to that, 'cause that's basically where the foul pole
Right.
is, so it'll be probably, I don't know, whatever we can get away with, 20 feet away from there, whatever we can do with our 25-foot setback, which there's plenty of room there, looks like, depending on where that water line goes, I guess.
Sure. Maybe to simplify what you were saying, Larry, is if you were to draw a line on First Avenue, I'd call it the riverside of First Avenue,
Right.
straight across the field to Boat Ramp Road.
That might,
You guys could keep the stuff, the water plant side, and deed us whatever's on the baseball side of that line.
Yeah.
right, that probably wouldn't be a bad idea, you know?
That can be discussed at a later point, too.
Yeah. And then if you did this, you just need a building permit then, you know? so,
Correct.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah. I think that would be better than just, you know, getting permission from the city. I just think it would be the best.
Have you run this by adjacent property owners? See if they're, I mean, they've gotta,
Well,
look at this every day too, you know, I don't know, I'm just throwing that out there. to-
no. We thought we'd start with, we don't own the property.
Yeah. We went to wait the building permit, and then we don't own the property, so that's why we're here.
Yeah.
A positive to having a permanent structure there is you could put the teal porta potties behind it. You wouldn't be looking out your window if you're at Mulberg's house and seeing a
Well,
porta
that's
potty.
just what I'm looking at, you know, I'm considering him, if he's sitting out there and always looking at this, you know.
Correct.
Maybe he doesn't care, I don't know.
We can go that route, but I guess
I would-
first we want to see if we can get approval to
Exactly.
even do it first, I guess.
If we say no, then.
Before, yeah, if you say no, then we don't need to worry about it.
I just think the best bet would be, you know, pick a line and not, you know, deed that over. And I do agree with you, probably not the whole thing, but,
Right.
yeah. And that's, you know, something we probably need to get a bigger map of
Sure.
to look at it. And then, you know, we could get that done, you know, this winter, and then you get your building permit and away you go, so.
Yeah, so we can do it first thaw, because the school's going with that scoreboard for softball season, if we can get it done.
That sound okay? We'll work on, I suppose we'll, and imagine what we need to do is before we make a motion, we need to figure out where it's gonna be. You know, we can't just go, yeah, we're gonna do it, you know, make a motion, do it.
Get some,
We'll-
drawings and measurements.
Let's get together and
kind
we'll
of
get
figure
the
out.
drawings and see where it's at, and then go from there at the next meeting. That'd be okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fair enough. We can come back.
Fine, me.
Some progress is better than none.
Right, exactly. What about the pool?
Okay, pool, as you know, is what, over 30 years old now, starting to get to the end of its life, and health inspector doesn't like half the stuff we got going on over there, so we need to look at building a new pool, and Park Board don't have finances for that. This is what we're looking at doing, and the prices are on the back side. Probably looking at $2.3 million to do the pool. Right now the pool has, the main structure is full of hairline cracks and stuff that we sealed last year with epoxy and stuff. So that base is starting to disintegrate slowly because there was sand coming up through the cracks over the past years and the water was leaking out slowly. And then the health inspector says the pumps, they'll circulate enough water to meet the code. And the filtration system is not up to par no more. Park Board doesn't have money to do any of that stuff either, really. And then the pool house is getting past its life.
How much of this is
30
actually
years.
pool? Is it,
It's all, that whole thing's pool.
this whole thing is?
Yep, this whole thing's pool. I have to redo the pool, and we plan to redo the pool house itself, because we need...
Right, but I mean, this is how big the actual,
It's on the same lot as it is right now.
no, but actually the actual swimming part itself.
Actual swimming part's all this here.
It's this here and that piece.
Yep.
So it's not like before,
No.
or earlier, you know.
Yeah, no, this will be 0 entry, get rid of the kiddie pool, so this will be all 0 entry, so everybody's doing the same. So
Okay.
this will be 0 entry back to there, and this will be regular 10 foot, 10 foot, whatever we want to do.
And then we're,
And then, yep. With the slide.
so it's just quite a bit smaller then, or not? Well, I know, I guess.
It's a little bit smaller, and a little less water, be a little more cost effective too. Like I said, Park Board doesn't have finances to do something like that.
Right.
So we can start discussing if there's something we can, how we work out together to do it as a pool or something the community probably needs to keep people around. And it's just getting to an spot, and the health inspector is what, gives 2 or 3 years before he's gonna shut it down if they don't have a plan.
Same inspector as the Memorial Building, Larry, from Minot.
Okay.
I
yeah.
visited with him a couple of years ago, and he said, 2 or 3 years down the road, if you guys don't have a plan, some money in the bank, we're gonna have to have serious discussions on whether we're gonna renew your license.
Okay.
So we're getting to that, we gotta have a serious plan.
Okay, well, just send everybody to the river. Send everybody to falls.
So we're getting to that point, we have to make some tough decisions.
Well, you know, the way I look at it, you know, we know where our finances are, you know. And it's granted, go ahead.
I'm gonna speak up a little bit. I'm probably the only one in this room that's been to most every pool in the western half of this state, eastern Montana, northern South Dakota. This pool is, and I'm gonna say, is in pretty nice shape compared to the majority of pools I've seen. As far as structure. I don't feel there's nothing wrong with the structure of the pool. The filtration system, I'm gonna agree wholeheartedly, that needs to go. But if you tear out those cartridge filters, put in some good sand filters, I know your circulation's gonna be there. You know, what the rest of the physical building, it's not great, but again, it's better than a lot of them I've seen. I don't buy that, 3 years, they're gonna shut you down. If it sits the way it is, yes.
Correct.
You have to do something for sure with that circulation system. The pump, I think, is capable of turning the water. I know it is.
With a different filtration system.
Different filtration. Those cartridge filters are a maintenance nightmare, they're labor intensive, but, the time that the guards spent trying to change filters, I've been over there many times trying to stand on the lids, trying to get them lined up, and...
Are those still those round ones?
Yes.
Oh,
And
God,
you're
I
in
thought they
there-
got rid of those years
No.
ago.
You're in there with your fingers trying to line them up, and you're pinching your fingers, and
Oh,
it's
man,
a pain.
yeah.
I would look at, I know Underwood's got new, their horizontal sand filter. Maybe take a look at theirs. see what, I don't know what the, you have to do the volume of water and the turnover rates. You got, what, 300-some thousand gallons in that pool? I believe is what it is.
I don't have my email from me, or with me, but for Underwood to do theirs, was it about $750,000?
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
to redo basically the mechanical part of it, kept the same pool.
Yep. So, if you're gonna keep the original pool, we basically need the new pump and filtration system and the new pool liner. New pump system was, whenever this was, 2 years ago, $150,000 to new pump system, and then the pool itself has cracks in it, so need a new pool liner.
Where's
So they have
actually
to-
the pool liner?
Well, they were gonna do some sort of a plastic something.
Yeah, you're looking at the one I believe that
to
Dave sent, and it was like a vinyl
to
liner.
vinyl, some
Or you
sort
could
of
blast
vinyl
it and
liner.
recoat
I know
it.
some
Needs to be
pools have
done.
done vinyl, if they're
So-
put in right, they last a
Yes.
long time.
We need to do something, and to be honest with you guys, we brought you for new,
Right.
because you could go through and redo all the mechanical and have a catastrophic issue with your underground piping
Well, yeah,
that's 30 years
you
old.
don't know, it's,
There's all that piping underneath the concrete slabs and stuff that, who knows?
right. I've seen that happen with brand new pools too.
Yes.
Yeah, that's true,
You know.
yeah.
But we wanted to be honest and bring you
Right,
worst case
right.
scenario, and
Right.
rather than you start on something, and, yeah, by the way.
Right,
Yeah.
yeah. Well, we appreciate that. And like I said, no matter what route we go here, we need to get our finances figured out first, I mean, it's good to discuss the service health, absolutely.
And if we did the filtration system, could we incorporate that into a new pool later on? I'm,
I mean, yes,
I don't know.
could,
Possibly, but the cost is probably not gonna be
you're,
worthwhile, probably, when you're talking another,
basically you save your filters.
$2.3 million anyway.
Pump is all you're saving, I mean, you're gonna save
Some
some costs.
Yeah, if you had a pit already
Right,
redone,
right.
you could start there.
Yep.
Because I don't
The
see,
one issue in that, pool circulation systems aren't my forte, but, to be able to size it, what physically sized filter is required for that volume of water, for that turnover rate, would it even fit in that mechanical room?
No, I think everybody said it has to be expanded.
I
We
was-
talked to Associate Pool several times, and there's not enough room in there, because they need 11-foot high ceilings to put it in there, from the last time they said. So they said there wasn't enough.
Depends, that's
not
what
enough
I'm saying,
space.
depends
Well,
on
I'm
the
just-
filters.
Right.
Yeah,
The way it is now, you've been in that mechanical room,
Right.
it's tight, you're stepping
Well,
over pipes and
the
tripping
only
over
thing I
stuff.
thought of, just thinking outside the box, is where that grading is over the pit, if you were to put a floor in over that to house your filters, you could free up that area,
Sure.
move some of the other stuff to the west end.
Yeah.
Again, knowing filter dimensions.
Yeah, we've done a little bit of work with, let's see, JLG, architectural firm, and, geez, what's the name of the pool company in Bismarck?
Associated. Pools.
Associated. We just got these preliminary drawings. We're kind of at a point we either have to tell them we're gonna move forward or back out. I mean, we put up some money to get the drawings, but we're at a point now where we know we can't fund a new pool.
Right.
It just isn't gonna happen.
Yeah.
So I guess we're asking, what's the commission's thoughts, and are you willing to move forward with this with us, or put it on the back burner, or where are we sitting?
I think we need to put it on the back burner until we find out our finances. Everything I hear, people want to know our financial first. Just like you guys. You can't move forward until you know your finances. So until we get a definite answer, it's just
And that-
hold off.
And that's why we're here, Mike. We wanted to know, come here, get it out at a public meeting,
Yep.
that we're
Yep.
looking, so you
Exactly.
hear everybody saying that you're not doing anything. So it's at a public meeting, they know we're trying, they know
Mm-hmm.
you guys are trying,
Yep.
but we're wherever we're at when we're done with the discussion.
Yeah, because there's some financing and some grants that we could probably apply for, but till we know our financial, we can't even say if we can match the grant or whatever.
Yeah.
So,
And I would almost think there's probably grants somewhere for pools, I don't know.
I don't know either. There's so many different criteria for things.
I know.
mhm.
But I would say, I don't want you to stop in your tracks and just wait for us either. You know, keep pursuing it. I would look at, maybe get a hold of some other mechanical pool contractors that,
There are none.
huh? Well, there are, I can get you some names.
Okay,
I can provide that.
good ones.
I've got some that we've worked with out, like Grand Forks area, Moorhead,
Sure.
so, you know,
Okay.
to what degree they do, I can't answer that, but I can give you some contact names and numbers.
Okay.
And at least give them a call, say, here's what we're looking at, what it takes to upgrade our filtration system. So at least you know, at least you got a couple ideas.
Options good.
Right.
Have you been to the New Rockford Pool?
Once.
Okay.
It's been a
We
while.
looked at something similar to that.
This is their pool.
Yeah.
This way.
It's not,
This is their pool at
it's
New Rock.
not much different than theirs. The bathhouse would be different for us, but it'd be real similar to that.
Yeah, I know a lot of the new pools, everybody's going to, you know, zero entry, it's just for kids, it's nice.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong, I'd love to have this pool, but it's, like I said, right now, it's just, you know, till we get things figured out, it's just not in the cards to.
So where are you thinking, come back in 3, 6, 9, 12? Next meeting?
Well, you know, why don't you come back in the spring and, you know, we'll see where we're at. Maybe we'll have an answer by then, maybe we won't, you know, as far as finances go.
I sure as hell hope we got an answer.
Well, after the winter and we drain the water out of the pool, we might have an answer too.
It doesn't fill back up.
Well, it would be trouble not in the pool.
What, there isn't much in the town, recreation opportunity, which kind of brings us into one other, if you want to call it, item of discussion. I know months ago, I had stopped and asked Ray about the funding for the park district.
Mhm.
And basically, you guys had decided that we'd have a use for those funds or a project or something to fit towards. They wouldn't be released, if that's the right terminology.
Right.
We got a golf course that runs huge amounts of volunteer labor up there. Well, that volunteer labor, there would not be a golf course.
Yeah, I know that, yeah, I know that, yeah.
We didn't request that at $10,000 of budget for the district at all. We've made it through without it. I'd like to see you guys give the money that was designated for the park district to the golf course that operates essentially under the park district. And Lad's here if you guys have some questions for him on anything financial or how things are going out there or whatever, but
Yeah.
you know, we've made it essentially all year without asking you guys for anything, and there isn't really any recreation opportunity here other than the pool and the golf course and the river.
Yeah.
It'd be great if we could give them the funds that were designated for us for that.
Yeah, you know, just to clarify, just because it's in the budget doesn't mean, you know, it's just a budget item, you know, it's just in case, you know, something would come up or whatever, you know what I mean? It's, you know, and where we're sitting financially right now, we don't know what we have, you know, and that's the problem. So we're very careful about where we even give out anything, really, you know. But it's something to think about, that's for sure. I don't know if they should come ask for or if they should come ask for that rather than, you know, just bringing it up at the meeting. There should be an actual, you know, proper request, so to speak. I don't know. I'm not sure how we would do that, Rainey. How would you do that? You know, I don't know.
I didn't know. That's why I thought this is the time that I need to bring it up, and
Yeah.
what you do is chase me out the door.
Do you have a comment on that, by the way? Do you have any comment on that at all?
I think the golf board did go to the park board with the request.
Yeah. Well, yeah, you guys came, yeah, for us for money, maybe some, but
Yeah.
That was kind of there.
You need to pay your bills.
I can kind of give you a status update. We are planning to bring a proposal into the 1 cent sales at both Washburn and Wilton here very shortly.
Okay.
And I've been working on that, and because of that, I have some financials, I can kind of explain where we're at out there if you're interested. I don't want to distract your meeting too much here, but.
Well, it's not really on the agenda, so I don't know if we should even, unless you guys want to hear it. I mean, it don't matter to me, we can take 5 minutes.
Okay.
Sure, why not?
I just,
Just call it an update on what's going on.
yeah, these are our current financials, and the 1 cent sales folks are gonna see similar numbers, here, coming up shortly.
Take one more.
And kind of a date that, to try to be brief here, that we use is September 2017 is where we kind of had a come to Jesus out there with the golf course that had basically gone insolvent. And a number of people like myself and some others got involved in it at that point because of fear of losing that course. And if you look at the operations profits from 2016, 2017, we lost just operations $181,000. This year, we have a few more expenses to go, but basically we're break even. We finally made a little money. And if you look at our expense trends since then, we've cut the expenses down to that. Now, there'll be some expenses coming back in because the volunteers aren't going to be able to sustain this pace. Bottom line is, the biggest threat to the golf course right now is its overhead. It's got over its long-term debt. And we're in the process of trying to refinance that debt, and we need to free up some cash flow. Now, one of the reasons we were asking, or would like you to consider requests for money, is the golf course is bringing in 200 to 300 people on a summer weekend from other areas. We had 12 major events out there this year that had a couple hundred people, 180, 120 golfers or whatever. Most of our operations budget here is spent locally. We buy most of our stuff here. The problem that we're facing is here where the request for some funding and stuff is helpful is we had a $30,000 bank payment due in November, and to make that payment, a number of us paid our memberships for next year already, and we advanced some pledges and stuff to get that bank. Well, that's fine, it gets us through, but next spring when we actually need some capital, that money isn't going to come again, and that's where the request of the park board was, is like, okay, we're trying to get this thing, we see some more growth out there. We lost 2 months of golf last summer. May was extremely wet. August, September, we lost about half the time out there because of the weather. So since 2017, when we did this reorganization plan out there, we've doubled our membership. If we wouldn't have had the rain this year, we would have been more than double our rounds since 2017. And we're still growing back to a sustainable thing. But it's not something, and the 1 cent sales committee is going to get a 4-page written explanation of where we think we're going with this. But that's why even a little, $5,000, $10,000 right now helps us just cash flow this, because our free cash flow is there, and hopefully in a couple years, this thing, as these trend lines go, we're going to have more revenue, and it does sustain itself. Right now, it's teetering, but it's not circling the drain like it was in 2017. That's where we were then.
So and I know you were definitely strapped.
Yeah.
Definitely about that. When do you plan on going to 1 cent sales?
I'm hopefully going to have everything ready to apply this week, and then it's up to them to set up the committee hearing, whenever that is. So I just had to get a few more pieces of information put together, and then, so I would anticipate in the next few weeks.
Okay. I guess I would like to see how that goes, first, and see, what they do, and then maybe go from there, and then, and I think in order to act on this, we would have to have it on the agenda.
Okay.
We wouldn't be able to just, come out right now and say it.
And I got a question. The liquor license is through the county. Have you gone to the county for some money?
No.
Is that a possibility?
No.
Okay.
No, there isn't an economic development fund in the county, or,
Yeah, but they're still receiving the money for the liquor license.
yeah, that
Yeah.
could be, but,
So I was just curious.
yeah, the county does a lot of in-kind out there, though. I mean, I'll tell you that. I mean, the gravel, the equipment, you know.
I think they let you use some equipment and stuff, don't they?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of in-kind from the county. The commissioners have been very open to,
Yeah, because it brings the people into the county, because that's why you're going to Wilton and Washburn.
Right.
Because it draws to the county.
right, yeah. Yes. Yes, the land out there, just so you guys are aware, it's park board land.
Right.
And then it was done that way with a cooperative agreement between Wilton and Washburn back in the late 70s as a park board run by a nonprofit board, basically. So it's historically been, even though it was 9 holes, it's always been kind of on the edge of finances there. They had operating loans a number of years. The bank did write off some debt back in the day, so. But there was serious mistakes made in the expansion project. There's way too much overhead on that golf course for debt. And that's why we replaced a lot of people, and we have to get this thing under control, or we lose the course. And it's a feature, I think, for the community.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
So, but we'd be happy to answer any questions. One thing we don't do a good job of, and I'll just take responsibility for that, is we don't come to these cities and just get on the agenda and explain, here's what we're doing off the course, because I think it is valuable for the county to have a 18-hole course.
Mhm. Oh, yeah. Any questions? Okay. Yeah, like I said, we'll see how that goes, and then we would need I think, you'd have to be on the
Need on the
agenda.
agenda, yeah.
But thank you for explaining that.
Yep, thank you. Thanks. Thanks, Larry.
Renee, we actually put you on the agenda. If you want to come up, we'll just address that now.
Okay.
So, you know, we had just a little background here. You know, we had given them until November 5th to complete their fence project. And, you know, pretty much since that date, maybe a couple days after, they pretty much have the fence done. The retaining wall is not entirely done, but...
But it was supposed to be what was formed, so the retaining wall was done.
It actually, I did review it, and it was the whole retaining wall and the fence in the back end on the side.
Oh, okay.
But, you know, you're making a effort to, you know, to get it done.
The fence is done.
Exactly.
And what was formed, the retaining wall, and then the corner, and then he actually added towards his, Scott's garage
Mhm.
to shore up the dirt there.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, all down along between
Right.
the two houses.
Yeah, and it looks good, and I did talk with Scott today, and he said, yeah, I mean, it looks good, you know. I guess, you know, my proposal, you know, we had originally talked about, you know, if it wasn't completed, you know, we would start implementing some fines. You know, personally, I think, you know, that they're showing good faith. It's not entirely done, but a lot of it is done. I mean, I would like to hold off on the finding, you know, and then set a timeline for completion of the retaining wall, you know.
For the concrete there?
For the concrete, you know,
Okay.
and then get the backfill and all that stuff in. That's what I would like to do. I'm thinking, you know, obviously can't do it in the winter.
Right.
We don't know what spring is gonna be, when winter's gonna be.
I'm thinking June 1st.
June 1st, I think.
You know, has to be done by June 1st.
Do you have a pin? So I can
Yeah,
write this down?
and with the stipulation of, you know, there'll be no more permits, you know, granted to you until that's done, until that project is done. you know, so, I mean, if you wanna, the front, we will not issue that permit until this one is done, you know what I mean?
Okay,
So,
so June 1st, you want the rest of the
the
retaining wall?
retaining wall has to be done and the fence, you know, cause I'm assuming you're part of that
The
fence.
fence
gonna
is
come out.
done.
Yeah, but to do the, you're gonna have to do the retaining wall, you're gonna have to take some of that down, right?
No,
Do the retaining wall?
he's got formed.
Oh, he does?
That's the forms for it.
Oh, okay.
So the fence is completely done.
Okay.
It's just that the boards are there for the form.
Oh, okay. I thought you had to, take some of the posts, or the boards down to finish the retaining wall. You don't?
No, the fence, like it's completely done.
I see.
The boards are there.
Okay.
Bottom boards, that's the forms of
That's the forms, yeah.
And once that's poured, then you'll backfill along that and get
Yeah.
everything
We'll
moved
take
out.
those, yeah, we'll take those, okay. All right, good enough.
Okay, so the rest of the retaining wall board by June 1st.
By June 1st.
Okay.
Anything on a motion?
I will, in a minute. Okay, so motion, okay, will be my motion, we'll, you know, we'll give you till June 1st, and, you know, with the stipulation that there will be no other permits issued to you, you know, until that is done. You know, for any project, because that, you know, it's because it's been 2 years. Okay, I'm sorry, I added that way to the motion, I shouldn't have. My motion is till June 1st, with the stipulation no more, permits will be, issued until this is complete.
And what is complete?
The retaining wall.
Second?
Discussion?
The only thing I would like to add is just that as far as the grading too, backfilling, not just retaining wall, but
The grading, what do you mean?
You gotta fill in behind the
Right,
retaining wall.
yeah.
We will amend it.
Part of that, where the retaining wall's already filled, is done,
Yes, it is.
but, so, you want it just finished?
Right, finish to the street, right.
You're gonna amend to add the.
We will amend it to add that, the backfilling in, against the retaining wall.
Okay, John?
Hmm?
You okay with that?
yes, yes.
No, it's been rainy all fall. I'm happy with it.
Yeah,
It's been way
It's
too wet.
beautiful. I love
Yeah.
it.
very nice, man.
I can hang plants now.
Okay, Colin?
Yes.
Aye.
Aye.
Yes. Please get it done by. We don't want them to feel.
I will do my best, yes. No, it will get done. It will get done.
Thank you.
I thank you guys
Yeah.
so much.
Yeah. We see you're trying to get it done.
Yeah,
We're trying to, you know, treat people nice, you know.
yeah.
We don't like finding people.
No, I don't either. I just would like to say that I'm actually really surprised that 2 people did not show up, because as we were working on it, we've had nothing but them coming out complaining, saying that they were gonna make life living hell. So, the biggest complaint was, we had talked at the last meeting that the fence could be 8 feet. We went with the 6 foot, that's what we had bought and we previously was gonna put in. It's 6 foot along the side between us. As you know, it goes up just a little bit for
Yeah.
safety hazards and everything else, and then 5 foot in the front.
Right, yeah,
So, it is what it is.
yeah,
I'm glad that
your
it's
neighbor
up.
commented on it, it's a very nice man.
All right,
So, okay, thank you.
hope you find me happy.
I hope
Thank
so.
you.
I hope so.
Yeah.
Waida, storefront improvement grant. First one, Dan Butler. Amy, or you want me to go with this, or?
So you can see from their minutes, they've approved, his request, $5,000. That's their October 2nd meeting.
Yeah, they run this program, so. They'll move that we, approve the, request for, Dan Butler. Session. Colin?
Aye.
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 Yes. And we have one Captain Kevin. I will also motion to approve that one. For $5,000.
Sign that.
Colin?
Aye.
Aye.
Yes.
Do we know how much is going to be left in that fund with all that coming up here?
There should be,
Just so we get an update
We have
sometime.
13,505 in there right now, so that's 10, so it'll be $3,505.87.
okay, we said 3,000? Okay.
Okay.
Okay, North Dakota DOT, US 83 Safety Corridor Project. Apparently they want to put up these electronic feed.
Yeah, so I reached out to the city of Underwood. They have not received their request. I was trying to see what other cities have done in the past because they're asking you to be responsible for all future maintenance of this. And it's on their property. So I was kind of surprised when I saw it. And so I was trying to talk to other cities, see what they've done. Underwood has not received anything like this. Wilton I have not heard that from. Today, through the listserv, I saw a comment from Belva asking about radar solar signs, street signs. So I asked her, like, what's the maintenance? She's like, I don't know. We're just right now in the process of ordering that. Because I said, well, you got asked to be responsible for future maintenance. I was trying to get an idea of what that cost would be. She does not know because she's not. They're just in an ordering process right now. So I just think it's kind of strange that they're asking you to be responsible for future maintenance for something that's on their right of way or their property, but I have not reached out to this Logan. I did not know if you want me to reach out to him to ask him for some more information.
Yeah, I was reading through this and it says, total construction cost of the project is $32,000. DOT will pay 100% of the cost. City share being zero. The total cost will include actual construction cost plus 10%. Okay, I thought I saw it here.
Because you're going to furnish any of the lamps with the same size and type that they needed in the plans. You're going to furnish all electricity needed to operate. You're going to repair or replace any damage.
Yeah, if somebody hits it, we gotta pay for it. If
Yeah.
somebody, I think it's.
Yeah, it seems kind of strange to me, but I did not reach out to this Logan and ask any kind of questions.
I think it'd be really nice to have, but
It's going to cost us in the long run. And since we have no revenue from up there, I don't see the point of it.
so you're making a motion to not do this?
As it stands, yes, I make a motion not to put them in the way it is written. If they want to come back and,
In other words, don't go with this contract.
right, with this contract, yeah.
We have a second?
I will second that.
Discussion? Colin?
Aye.
Mike?
Aye.
Well,
Aye.
yes. Cable Communications Franchise Ordinance.
So our current ordinance that we have is 124, and 132 actually just changed their legal name from 124 to their current name, so that's what 132 is. But that has expired. It was a 10-year ordinance, and so it has expired, and they gave me the current ordinance that you see on your, in front of you. So this is a franchising cable ordinance. Cable service.
My big concern with this is, I'm really thinking West River wants to get into offering like cable through their fiber optic. Chad, would that be correct?
I'm here for the park board.
I know, and my question is, how would this affect them? Then they wouldn't be able to. So, with the technology the way it is these days,
give them sole franchise.
And are they doing,
Competition usually drives lower pricing.
and with the, now, the movies and stuff are on the internet, so are they gonna try to push that out, since they have a franchise?
Well, we've had that for a long time.
Well, I mean,
Right,
you've
but this
got-
is a new contract.
But you've got internet through cable too, you can get that.
So right through cable or West River, so that, I don't understand the contract.
Don't like limiting our options to one.
So I will just tell you that if you don't do this, then you're gonna lose out on the income that you're getting every month from it, so just be aware of that as well.
So what do we get for?
We get about $800 a month franchising fees from them.
Well, tell them to give us 5,000 a month and we'll discuss it.
Did,
Just
did
so that
it
you
say
know
how long
what
this is
you're-
good for? Is this for like 10 years or?
There's a 10-year, yeah.
Yeah, I just,
Is there a deadline when this has to be done?
It's, the current one is expired.
Okay. So already expired, so.
I think maybe we need to,
I think we
get our
should visit
attorney's
with-
opinion on this.
Huh?
Our attorney's opinion on this one, maybe?
Well, or that, or I don't know if they can answer it, if that's West River's intent to be able to come in,
That's an idea.
offer that, you know, is there some kind of a kickback from them? I don't know.
Franchising fee, just like
Right.
this.
Franchising fee, call it whatever you want.
You know, Trump got in trouble for this kind of stuff.
Is he coming in too?
We'll give them free cable.
So,
Hmm.
basically, we want to table this, correct, until,
I would get some
you know, we
filter.
maybe consult with David and also in West River.
When is he back?
I don't know.
I don't know, at least another week, I'm sure.
Yeah, let's table this one.
Okay. Full conversion of counties. We have not been a member of that for quite some time. So they're, just for knowledge, how much are they wanting to be a member?
Do you have that in front of you? I have a copy, I kept my copy here.
Was it $450 for the dues? Is that what you're looking for?
Yeah,
That's what it says on,
on that green letterhead.
yeah.
Yeah, I think it's been quite a few years since we haven't been.
2015 it says.
Okay. That's fine, Randy, if it says that.
It's in the,
I didn't,
Yeah.
so we're good.
I'm gonna make a motion to not, be a member of the coal conversion counties.
One second.
Discussion.
Is there any perks to joining this, or?
no, I think you asked me that last year, and there really hasn't been.
Okay.
And we never hear from them. So,
I do get emails when their meetings are, and then what their minutes are, but that's all I get.
Colin?
Aye.
Mike?
aye.
Well,
Aye.
yes. J&R Salvage?
So, through this listserv, again, we have different emails, and so Underwood had made the comment about, somebody had asked a question about what are people doing with different, garbage, and Underwood had made the comment about they have a contractor who provides a roll-off for their metal. And I then reached out to her and I said, who, and it was this J&R, and so then I reached out to him and called him, and he would provide a roll-off to put metal items or appliances in at no charge to the city, and then he would sell the scrap and we would get a portion of the proceeds.
So this isn't just a certain week, it's for the whole, like, the summer or
Yes.
whatever?
the whole, it would be, located on city property, so it could be back here with our other roll-off. And I said if you were interested, I could reach back out to him and get more details, but,
What bothers me is people drop everything that's not metal in it,
How do you police it?
and how do you police it? Exactly.
Pretty soon you're getting used motor oil and
Yep.
jugs and.
And mattresses, yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, I really like the idea of having a place year-round for stuff.
right, it's the policing, unless we put cameras on it.
yeah, if it's his dumpster.
It's his dumpster, it's his responsibility. He wants, if he's not police right, he wants to stop doing it because it's too other gravity, because it's not doing it, I would think.
That's a good point.
Maybe we could reach out to him, ask that question, what if, you
He's
know.
not responsible for
you-
cleaning all
we-
the extra garbage out, I wouldn't worry about it.
Picks it up and it's got, I don't know, 30 gallons of used motor oil. Is he come back to the city and say, well, sorry, this is on you? Or
Yeah.
does he just keep that?
Or 30 railroad ties.
Ties.
Happened before, he filled it up.
Put that on parkboard land, we're good.
I
So,
guess it's worth, reaching out to him and asking some.
Yeah, I was just gonna say that, yeah, I think we should reach out to them, yeah.
Just some of those concerns that if there is, you know, whatever, plastic and other non-metal items that get put in there.
Well, and that's the problem with like a lot of appliances, there's a lot of plastic in there, so I mean, yeah, I don't know.
Or any stipulations that he might have that,
Requirements you might have too. This was for metal, wasn't he also, didn't you say something about there was another, he might be interested in something else too, or?
Yeah, it's about the trees,
Trees, oh yeah, trees, yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
So, more questions?
Audio deal?
So I reached out to this Tricorn Audio, and they came and looked at our meeting here, and this is the proposal that he had come back with. So Mike asked me to put it on the agenda to discuss. It is a separate standalone system from the security cameras and the security audio, at least separate. It's an item that you'd have to turn on when you start your meeting and shut it off when you end it trading. It has the capabilities of live streaming, but I believe that was an additional item that you'd have to purchase. It's an expandable system, so it would be something you'd have to purchase.
so
This here, it says streaming media processor and AV recorder, I don't know what that means. I don't know either, so.
the system we have now, that's tied into our security.
Yes,
cameras?
that's what it is. So basically, I'm going into that security system and trying to clip the times that the meetings are and dumping that audio and video into YouTube and then linking that YouTube to our website.
It really wasn't meant for what we're
It
using.
was not meant
Mhm.
for what we're trying to do, and it's been a battle. Because the audio is terrible, and it doesn't always want to clip or take the sections that you want either. So there's been a few times where I've spent a couple days trying to get something that's even halfway decent.
So how much time do you think did you spend a month or 6 months or a year doing video? I mean, if I-
Oh, the whole next day after our meeting, I spend doing the things that, you know, I'm asked to do as I do them, and then taking minutes, listening, and clipping that video, audio. So it's a combination of, I'm doing stuff as well, because it's so time-consuming to download and dump, and then it doesn't work, so then you have to try it again, and so as that's going on, I'm trying to do other things, but I usually spend the whole next day doing those things.
So if we look at your time spent editing videos throughout the course of a year, if you apply that towards the cost of this, that lowers the price.
Some.
Is what I'm getting at is,
Yeah.
if you spend, we figure,
But
$2,000 a year in labor, your time spent trying to work with this, 5 years' time, the system pays for itself.
Right, but I think there's better, or different systems out there than this. I'm not real impressed with this. I think we could put in a NVR that we can download the clips off of and put that on the internet, but I'd like to keep checking because I'm not impressed with this price.
Is this the only quote we have gotten?
Mm-hmm.
Have we reached out to any?
No, that we need to, I want to discuss this and get things started and change this.
Okay, well, question, would this be a one-camera system?
Yes.
Because I know you would.
I had asked him about two because you cannot see in the video who's talking out here. So we
Right.
talked about, okay, do we need to get a podium, have a microphone on a podium so that who's ever talking is standing at that podium so that you can see and hear that person rather than not knowing who's talking from out in the crowd, then if you can even hear them when they're out in the crowd. So
Or
this-
even if we had
Yeah.
another camera.
Mhm.
Or if you
have
had
a
another camera,
dual,
yes.
Because some of these cameras, and I don't know how it would work, some of these cameras each have a microphone, so if you're having trouble with one, you could pick up multiple ones. But I'd like to check more into a system than this is. Maybe a standalone, that we're not hooked up with anybody, that we can pull up 2 hours, then just dump it on the internet if we need to. And not have all the processing and clipping and
So, yeah, I mean, I think we definitely need to, I know there's more than one place that does, probably tons of them. We definitely need to get,
And maybe we can reach out to the guy that did the Memorial Hall, maybe he has some ideas.
well, yeah, we could do that, and then, I mean, is this something that
So the
we put
gentleman-
out for bids? I mean, or how do we do this? I mean, or do we just go to people and say?
I don't think it'll be that expensive if we do this.
But I mean, how do you put a notice, we're asking bids for?
I don't think we need to go out for bids, but we need to come up with some idea,
What we want.
standard, what do you
Yeah.
want? So
Right.
when you go to each person, you're not giving this guy
Right.
something completely different from this guy.
Right,
Then you're gonna
Right.
get different pricing.
right,
So
okay.
I would say, hate to put it on you, Mike, but you're building grounds, to come up with some
Yeah.
kind of a standard
Right,
equipment, what we need, what do we want, if we want 2 cameras, be able to,
right.
work with Rainey to see what does she like or need when she's doing her thing, editing
Right.
videos, and come up with a standard proposal we can give the different outfits.
And what works with what,
Yeah.
So it'd be easier than the way it is now, because everything's kind of tied together and you're having trouble with it, so. And maybe there's somebody that can demo something too, or they can bring it up and just set it on tripods for a meeting and see how it comes up.
Leslie?
Well, Brian's got a smartphone, he can videotape everything. That's easier anyway.
Let me get that out for you.
We can even do it in the dark.
Okay, very good. Anything else on that? A little bit of intake 426 funding.
Yeah, so I just did a summary just to kind of let you guys see where you're at. That first page where I have all those notes. So I need to transfer that 63,000 that's highlighted off to the right, from the general fund over to this Fund 426 because it's still sitting over in the general fund. So
Okay.
I need to transfer over that into this Fund 426. The other thing will be, since we're not doing anything more with this project, there will be some excess surge funds sitting there that you may want to transfer out of this fund and into something else. instead of just leaving them sit there, unless you're just wanting to leave them sit there until you figure out how you want to use them in the future, but,
Do you know how much is left from the surge fund?
yeah, one of these notes is that. Well, one of my questions there, you can see that $500, that $500 that was paid in earnest money for the purchase of the land is not covered under the State Water Commission, 65% funding. So my question is, do you want to cover this with that surge funding or some other kind of fund? I would think that you'd want to just use those surge funds since they're sitting there.
I would think so.
So then the 372 minus the 248 would be the 124,377.88.
I kind of like to leave this surge fund separate, rather than just have it, like a project fund. Or can we have it in the project fund and call it the surge fund, or?
I can set up a separate fund if you want it in a fund.
Because we were kind of, when we used that surge funding, we kind of made sure it benefited everybody, rather than just one particular project. That's kind of what we were doing with it, if that makes sense. Rather than just lumping it into a project fund. That's what I would like to see anyway. I don't know. Noel, what do you think?
I would do whatever Rainey wants.
Oh, good one.
Well, you got a pay raise, huh?
No, I know it's fun. If she thinks it's best to, put it in the project fund and just call it surge funding, create the new account, whatever.
Well, I think that would be fine, because if we'd basically use it for projects, but,
Is there any issue leaving it where it's at now?
No, it's just that you don't want to forget about it, and this is kind of the issue that you've had, is you've kind of got stuff sitting in places, and you kind of forget about things, that's part of our problem, is we're having to go back now and try and figure out what some of these monies are in some of these places, like, is it okay to spend or isn't it, so I would like to keep things clean and finish this project, have it total what it totals to be, and move it and put it,
Close it out?
yeah.
Okay, sure.
And could we headline it that this was for everybody's use?
well, it's
So
surge.
Yeah, surge.
As long as it's called surge, we know that.
Okay.
We can use it for whatever we want.
Right, but just so that
But-
it's an understanding that's what it was there for.
Well, that's what we have been using.
Yeah.
But if you just call it surge, then we know
Okay.
that's what it was. It was that money from the state,
Okay.
from that
I'd say
stuff.
set it up then to where you can track it better and
Yeah.
Yeah.
close this one out and make a new one cut
Yeah.
off.
So once I receive we've put in, request number 6 of the State Water Commission, those few items that are over there that I've got a square around, that 12,537 and 314 and 3,900, we sent that request in to the State Water Commission. We've not yet received it, but once I receive that in, then I'll do all the transfers and get your approval.
Okay. So then, that last pay request covers everything then?
Except $500.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Sounds good. Any questions about anything? Let's go to the state fire tornado. Record, agent of record.
Okay, so as of July 1st this year, NADERF is now administering the State Fire and Tornado policy, and so we will be required as of July 1st, 2020 to have a broker or an agent for that State Fire and Tornado. So I've received requests from a few different insurance agents in town, and Cottingham is out of Underwood. So, just had a few different requests from different agents to be assigned to be our broker or our agent in that NDRF, or that State Fire and Tornado Fund. Not
And
sure what your,
Who is requesting? I'm sorry.
so
Sorry to
Mike
interrupt.
Nelson has,
Yeah.
Gary Oster has, and Tony Cottingham has.
Okay. Posters Frontier, right?
Mm-hmm.
Correct.
So we have to pick one, is that right?
Correct.
When do we have to pick by?
July 1st of 2020.
Okay. So how do we pick?
Going.
Has anybody had anything to do with Mike Nelson or,
So Mike
Gary
Nelson
Oster.
is our agent for our NDRF.
and has he been, how do I want to say it? When you have questions, is he prompt in getting back to you?
Yes,
Okay. And we haven't had anything to do with Gary, right?
I have not.
Okay. I'm just asking.
Well, I think it would be nice to support more than one business in town. You know, I mean, it's something we don't have to decide today, right?
Is it something that we are charged for or not?
I don't know if it's in with the premium. I can ask those questions.
Good question.
So, I mean, if, you know, one charges and the other one don't, that makes the decision easier.
That's true.
Okay, I can ask that.
Yeah, we'd probably just give a payment back if they're the one on the record, they get X amount from that policy, is usually how that works.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, coming back from
Yeah, I
the
just think
state.
on that, yeah,
Yep.
right, yeah.
That's how it was explained to me.
That would
And
make
two of them are in town here, and the third one's in Underwood.
Right, well, I've always been, support in-town businesses first if we can,
Mm-hmm.
Depending upon, the cost. And I don't think the cost is gonna change on this one, because they're just our agents. Well, yeah, I mean, if we can find out a little bit more about it, I guess. and then
Yeah, we have
make a
time,
decision.
so let's just table it.
Yeah.
So do you want me to ask both Mike Nelson and Gary what their
Mhm.
fees would be, those two? Okay.
I think. Let's see, I think, everything else involves Eric, I believe.
Hello. You gotta try this new chair out.
See, it's bad.
We should give you a fold chair.
It's comfy.
Okay, so first thing on the agenda is the main avenue change orders. Okay, that's on the agenda, so we'll go there first.
Okay, yeah, I sent out, my update last week with the change order and kinda explained, where we went over on the main avenue project. Most of it was from tree removal, but we had other overages for asphalt and road base, a little more than, the estimated quantity, and then, sidewalk, concrete work being a little bit more than estimated quantity. So those are the overages. It's a little over 7% of the, original project price is this balancing change order. I think I said in the email, with unit price projects like this, where you have estimated quantities, even after you get the bid, from the contractor, and the unit prices, your final quantities that's gonna be put in is not known. It's fairly common that, there's gonna be differences, positive or negative. On the change order, or on the update that I sent, I have the balancing changes spreadsheet. It kinda shows where the overages are, exactly. And anything in red is, they were under on. Anything where you see on the right column, under total amount, that's a black number, that's over. If it's 0, it was right on. So, that kinda explains where they all came from, and, this is the final balancing change order, so with that comes the final pay application to the contractor. And those are the two things that I'm recommending approval for Weiss and Sons.
Okay, first of all, I think we need to, let's deal with the, final approval of the Weiss and Sons. You know, I still haven't signed the acceptance because I told Eric, you know, at that time, we do it at the meeting. So, I mean, I think they did a really good job. You know, I don't have a problem, you know, signing this and paying them. So with that, it'll be an additional $17,918.43. That's correct? So I will make the motion to accept the change order and make a final payment to Weiss and Weiss.
I'll second that.
Okay, discussion on that part? Colin?
Aye.
Mike?
Aye.
Well,
Aye.
yes. Okay, make sure I sign that for you. Okay, now, the other issue I have with that, I met with Advance, you know, and I have a real issue with the engineering on this project. You know, they estimated 20 trees at 1 to 12 inches, there were 136 of them. You know, that tells me that somebody didn't even look over that hedge, quite honestly. I just have a real problem with that, you know. I don't think we got the engineering that we were expecting, especially for that part. And then also I think the sidewalk overage was, you know, we had said where we want that sidewalk, and it was designed, I believe, closer to the street in the final design. And so I think that's kind of where we got the overage on the sidewalk. So I guess I have a problem with, you know, about $16,000 of this $19,000 overage.
I'm gonna speak up a little too. I guess I feel that we hire an engineer for your expertise. And I look at, and specifically I'm looking at trees. That's the one that sticks out to me. For $29,000, and I'm just using a rough figure of, if, you don't have to answer this, but engineer charges me $250 an hour to do some work. For 2 hours, I could go down there and count a lot of trees and know exactly how many trees, based on the line that we're gonna take out, and say, okay, I have got X number of trees, and you factor that in. So that's where I was expecting a little more expertise in this field.
And I guess my response to that is, in a quantity estimate, this is exactly what it is it's an estimate. Now, looking into the forest that was there, from even if you peek over the edge to look at it, it still would be really tough without going down there and count every one of those trees. And being a unit price product that it is, whether we counted every tree for you guys, which is something that's not typically in our scope of work to do something like that. Whether we counted every one of those trees or not, the amount of trees the contractor would remove, that you'd be paying for those, whether we counted every one of them or not. I know, Larry, your problem with that is that you wanted to ask 1 cent sales tax to cover the balance of this project from the beginning.
We went
Yeah.
out for funding.
You went out for funding, you want to cover the whole thing. So, not knowing that at the beginning, I would have said, Larry, we should put a contingency on that. Let's add 10% to the project price for funding. Because, like I said, very, very commonly in unit price projects, you're going to have overages in quantities. Whether that's more concrete, more asphalt, more removals, trees, whatever it is. So that would be, would have been my suggestion at the beginning of this, if we were concerned about, only asking 1 cent sales tax, for this is what we need. I would say, hey, let's have a contingency on what we're asking for, because it's probably going to happen. We're going to be over. If you go back and look at the last, at least the last 2-3 projects, I could show you. There's been anywhere from 5 to 10% overage because it's a unit price project. Now, even if you're talking about a $224,000 project with the Main Avenue project, or a multi-million-dollar, $2.8 million, I think was for the 2014 project, $2.2 million for the 2016 project, you're going to have about that 5 to 10% overage in quantities. Like I said, when you look at the balancing spreadsheet, some of them are less. That's always going to happen, and some of them are more. So,
Yeah, if I read this right, 24 you had 10 down, you were off by 16,000. That's just not knowing what's there. So the
Right.
16, there was more little ones. So
there was a lot more little ones.
So it's one of those that you didn't estimate the idea of the bigger ones. They just weren't there. So it's tough. It's a tough call.
But there is a big difference between 20 and 136. That's not even,
Right.
not even close.
But on the big ones, the 10,
Right.
is 0.
Yeah.
It's a tough call. Because we were trying to get the estimates together so we could get started on it too at that time. They dropped everything to get in here to get us help.
I wouldn't say they dropped everything
Well,
to give us help.
okay.
I mean, we hired them to do this for us.
Right, but we had started on it before they were even called. The street was dug up and that stuff already by the time they were called, right?
We had done things to,
Be it for safety, but it was already started, right?
but that was when it was still frozen. We didn't even plan on doing anything at that point.
Right.
We just did it for safety. I mean, I don't know where you're going with that. I'm not sure.
Well, I'm just saying that they came in, and looked at it and gave us their best faith estimate.
Okay.
If you do estimates all the time, you're never always on. You're either above or below.
But these aren't based off an estimate, this was based off a bid.
Yeah, but that bid is on the estimate. You could have went down there and told them exactly how many trees were down there.
That's my job.
Or I could have done it, But that don't mean that it would have been right.
Okay.
So are all your projects what you call unit price?
Typically you have a lump sum project or unit price, and I think I talked to you about this too, Colin, that we could have gone out and done, hey, let's lump sum bid this. So then Weiss would have come over, well, we can do all that work that you're explaining in in a lump sum project, you have a project description. This is what we need done, and it can be as simplified or as detailed as you want to make it. and they could've came in and said, for $280,000, we can do that work. I think the next bid we had after the 224 was, we had a $300-something thousand bid for unit price. You know, that was the second lowest bidder. But typically, I would say on a lump sum project, you're gonna pay more overall, but you wouldn't have a balancing change order at the end, because it's not unit quantities. You're not worrying about any quantities. You're just saying, get this work done. Typically, facility jobs are bid that way, you know, if you were to do some work like that. But when you go out and you try to get better prices for everything, all the work that you're getting done, you go on the unit price, and sometimes you might be paying more if there's more quantity. But you're getting all those bidders to really grind, you know, nail down the lowest price they can get per unit. You know, and that's why you're trying to get that better price. And with Weiss, we got a much better price. We got a $224,000 bid. And I don't even know who the next, I can't recall off the top of my head who the next bidder was, but it was $100,000 more for that next bidder. So, that's the...
Well, I guess my biggest gripe is, to me, on the surface, some of the real simple things that I felt, you know, if I'm doing a project, I'm looking at those, because it's my butt on the line, you know. If I quote a customer this, that's what I'm expected to charge them. You know, if I come in and say, geez, you know, I forgot about this is gonna cost you another $5,000. You know, at that point, I would go to my customer and say, you know, hey, I screwed up. Can I give you, you know, would you be willing to accept this? If they do, great. If they don't, who eats it? I do. That's how I'm looking at this, to say, you know, I look at you guys and as a professional, your expertise, to at least spend, you know, a little more time, put a little more effort, rather than just look down and say, yep, I think there's, whatever, 30 trees, and yep, we got black dirt. Well, we found out there wasn't black dirt, so we're having to kick in that. That's my expectations from, I guess, an engineer.
Yeah, and I know some adjustments that I can make in the future working with you guys on some of these projects. I haven't shown a contingency in the estimate, and with these unit price projects, when we're looking at quantities, you know, looking at that a little bit closer, you know, because like I said, with our scope of work, typically on most projects, we're looking at existing conditions data that we have on hand, and obviously the amount of trees that are in the coulee is not some data that we would have on hand. Now, we might have some survey data, and we do have some survey data. We have GIS, so there's some things that we can easily check, you know, the infrastructure. You know, how many manholes we got, where the sewer lines are, where the water lines are, where the storm sewer is. Do we even have storm sewer on that street? You know, so a lot of it we can find out right from the office, and it's in our best interest to try to save you guys as much money as we can. So that data that we have, that's what we're going off of, the stuff that we have on hand right away. So you know, we can definitely take a better look at what we do with that existing conditions data before we start drawings. You know, I think we can all say that this project ended up being a little more involved than what we initially thought it was going to be. I mean, we're really hoping from the very beginning to simple, cut and dried. We're going to dig the street up, put a new pipe in, put the street back together. Not a big deal. Well, you know, once after our estimate came out, it ended up being much higher than what we were initially expecting when we had this pipe clog up and you know, have the street get washed out. So you know, just being a little bit more careful from the beginning and not jumping to conclusions probably would help everybody. So, but I hear you guys talking, so we're gonna, like I said, we're gonna do better and make adjustments on it.
So I guess my final question, what are you willing to do reimbursement from the engineering firm?
I definitely can't speak on that or make a decision on that from where I sit. I can talk to people, back at the office to see if there's something that we could do for a credit or reimbursement of some kind.
Or 23 hours of engineering fees, something, I'm just, sarcastic, but, we're willing to work with you, but not sure if I'd say this, but when I run into these situations, it kind of prompts me to, so to speak, we need to look at other options for engineering firms too.
The thing I see with this, doing it your way, like you're saying, you go out to a place, or if I go out to a place and I see a pile of junk, and we know that this guy bitches and moans about every dime there is, do you give him a low bid or do you give him a high bid when you do an engineering deal? You don't give him the lowest bid because you know you're going to have problems. He's adjusting on what the finding as they do it. That's all there is to it. I think, Larry, didn't you say that you only thought that project when you first saw it was only maybe $70,000, $80,000 and not to even declare it an emergency deal? You didn't think it, well, we could check tape.
We could check that,
But
but yeah.
I think you said that you didn't think it would be near what they came up with an estimate. And you've been around these projects for a long time. So what I'm saying is throwing somebody under the bus for incidentals that come along, it saves us the best money by him trying to keep the bid down instead of, and adjusting it accordingly.
Well, the whole point is, this drug out a long time because we wanted to know exactly what it was gonna cost, so we could go out for funding, because we don't know our funding, we don't have the money for it. That was our point, we wanted to know what it's gonna cost, because we went out for funding from Munster Field Tech. We didn't wanna have to come up with another 20 grand, or whatever. So, and really, I know what you said about like, we have all this data, with the water lines and all this other stuff, but all you do is look over the edge and say, well, there's more than 20 trees down there. Come on!
I'm gonna say,
You said there was 200 trees.
we spent enough time on this.
We have spent enough time
Yeah.
on this, but
Eric, see what you can do. I'm just asking.
I will most certainly ask a question right away. In fact, on my drive home, I'll be asking that question.
Okay.
But I appreciate the feedback, and like I said, I don't want any project to work out that way. I don't want it ever have a project be off of my estimate. I want to be as accurate as possible. So, like I said, we're gonna take a hard look at everything that we do for you guys, and give you the best information that we can, so that you're not surprised.
and we appreciate that,
Well, I think, you talked about, having the contingency in there, spell that out, just, right up front,
Mhm.
That way, there is no, because if somebody gives me an estimate
Mhm.
to say, okay, this is what it's gonna cost to do this project,
Mhm.
I'm gonna hold them to that. Now, if they say, well, this is what it's gonna cost, give or take, 5%, whatever, then it's a little different.
Yep. And I will say that, and for you guys, that with unit price projects, it's a rarity for projects to come in like right on the money for because you have a variance of what the quantities are gonna be at the end, and like I said, it could be, some of them are gonna be less, but it just typically happens where you're gonna have more quantities than what you estimate that you put on your bid form. It's just gonna happen, but we'll keep that in mind at all future projects, so that we all have the discussion, and we're all tracking that correctly, before.
thank you for putting up with
Hey, that's my job.
the meeting, man.
That's my job, that's okay, that's my job.
Okay,
So-
next on the agenda, are we done with this one? Yep. Okay, next on the agenda is the water treatment plant, INC services. It's actually on the agenda, so we're gonna go by the agenda.
Okay, sounds good. And Mike Chorney he's our INC specialist, and he wrote up this proposal for you guys. This proposal is talking about the replacement of 3 servers. It's actually talking about the replacement of 2 servers and then adding a backup server for your operations at the water plant. Now, the servers that we have right now are pretty old. I know that Adam probably could tell you better than I could the status of those. But the other problem is the servers are so old that we're worried about them even turning on if we were to lose power. But the current operating systems for the servers that we have right now don't support the newer versions of the software that's on it that we need to run the water plant. So that's what this is. The servers would be purchased by A2S, and we would direct bill the city for those because we get a discount on servers because we buy so many computers as a company. And then you guys would purchase the software that's in the proposal letter. And our INC guy and one of our IT personnel would do all the programming, troubleshooting, QA, QC, all the work that's required to switch you over to the new servers and to have all the new software installed on those servers. One of the servers is to run the water plant day-to-day operations. The other server is for a backup to that server. And the third server is it's to do with the membranes, and it's to monitor them from a remote location, so that staff between Adam and Brian, usually I think it's Adam that's doing that, but he can take all his readings from home on those. I think I talked a little bit more about the options the city would have in my update or in my email to you guys, as to everything that it entails. I kind of talked about all the prices, but the overall price when you add up 3 servers and all the software and the labor is for $31,088 for all this equipment. Now, this equipment, the servers it's in there right now, lasted for 9 years. So I can't guarantee that your servers will last for the next 9 years. I think this was an anomaly that this one lasted this long. Mike, you asked me a question about the software. The software would be good for the life of the server. Okay. So we're good there. And from what Mike Chorney tells me, all the work and all the troubleshooting or any issues that you guys would have would be covered by either our IT department or our INC staff. So they would support you guys if there was any issues with these servers.
Life of the server, 5 years? Did he give you a number?
He didn't give me that number,
okay.
But
I was just curious.
I would think that a computer could last for 5 years, but didn't you guys have a computer or a server in the office that you had to replace recently?
Mm-hmm.
Do you know how old that one was?
Oh, it's quite old.
Probably older than 9 years even?
No, I don't think it was that old.
Okay.
No.
I mean, I got a computer at home that I've had for 5 years, and it's really clunky, but
yep.
It's not, the computer I have at home is a cheap laptop. It's not a server for a water plant. So
you warranty all that for the life of the server, you said?
The software. So you're going to get updates to the software, and that's something that Mike does. Okay. He works with Adam on making sure that all the software is up to date and everything's working up to snuff. So when you purchase the software, let's just look at it. It's Rockwell Tech Connect contract, Rockwell Factory Talk View SE, Win 911 software. I think the Win 911 software is stuff that goes with the membrane server. I'm going to be honest with you guys, I don't know a ton about the INC portion and all the software and servers work. That'd be a question I would talk with Mike about.
Okay.
And if you do have specific questions, I can most certainly have Mike give you guys a call and talk to you more about it.
I can give Mike a call.
But, yeah, and you've been in touch with Mike
Oh,
a
yeah,
lot,
Mike all
so
the time.
yeah. So that's the proposal.
I have a question on the labor on this.
Okay.
Is that hourly rate, up to a maximum of that amount, or?
Yes.
Or is that a straight, that's what the labor's gonna cost?
So that is hourly, up to that amount. And I think that Mike, when you talked to me about that, Larry, I talked to Mike about it again, and he rechecked his numbers, and, Mike's done a lot of these, and Jason Schuler's our IT, tech that would be working on this, and he's most certainly done a lot of the software install and the programming and the QA/QC. So I believe they have a very good, they're very accurate on what they think it's going to cost on the labor. So you can see I sent out a kind of it's Mike's spreadsheet showing the labor and how he got to the numbers that he did. But it was like the last page of my packet that I sent to you guys, and he kind of, laid it all out there on the spreadsheet on what exactly he'd be doing for each hour, basically, of the labor cost. So yes, my question, or to answer your question, Larry, it would be hourly not to exceed the 14 that he has for the labor, and then the backup server labor is separate. It's for $1,500, and he separated that out because if you guys would choose to not do a backup server, then you would just easily knock that $1,500 off for that labor, and you'd knock off the backup server. So the savings of $5,500
Right.
if you did not do the backup server.
Backup servers that can have all programming in it too then?
It would have everything. It would have everything in it to run the water plant. Yes, it would, everything would be set up. So from what the way that Mike explained to me is that server would not normally be on. If somehow that main server just crashed, which is always a possibility with computers, you would just turn that one on and everything would switch over to that. If that event happened, Mike and Adam would be on the phone talking about it and making sure that we had everything covered.
Would you lose all your historic data then? I mean, or that wouldn't be on there? I guess not, right?
The historic data, that's a good question. I wouldn't be able to answer that, but I could ask Mike about that.
That'd be a good question.
Historic data, if it was to crash?
Yeah, or maybe that's on a separate, logged on a separate hard drive, I don't know, who knows?
Well, maybe it's backed up every so often to that
That's
backup
true.
server.
Yeah.
So that
Oh,
you
yeah, right,
have
yeah,
it
right, good
as
point.
of the last quarter or as of the last whatever.
Yeah, you almost probably have to do it weekly, because states get more fussy all the time, I'm sure.
So does it have to be to the cloud, to a server? Could you back that up to the cloud somewhere?
That's a good question. I would have to ask Mike that as well. It might be cloud-based already. If it is pushing data to the cloud, I'm not sure, but I can ask him that. Mike did recommend having a backup server. You guys have operated without a backup server, and you haven't had any issues. It's kind of just an insurance policy, and it's really your decision. And I would just agree with Mike on his recommendation because this is his stuff. So, but it is your guys' decision if that's something you do or do not want to do.
And ultimately, that would go back to Adam to say, okay, if this server goes down, can we run this plant by hand? I want to say yes.
It's probably possible. It would be a lot more labor intensive, and you'd be scrambling to make sure everything was figured out. And as far as your reporting goes, nothing would be tracked, you'd have to be,
If this
I'm not
is
sure.
running the Xenon thing and the levels and troughs, they had that happen one time when Paul was there, where they were in there, it went down, and then it came back on. It was reset. Well, he had made those settings 9 months earlier. In the meantime, there was all kinds of changes on trough levels and everything else, but it reverted back to the very day, and thank God it set it on there. It displayed it. It says, geez Louise, this was 9 months ago. Why is that displaying that time on there? And so it was like, now, what were the levels? I don't know. Did you write them down? No. Well, what's that tank normally sit at? I haven't got a clue. Unless you're manually writing that stuff down for a reference, you know, you're gonna lose it.
Yeah, 'cause it's all there, yeah, on the computer, right? Yeah, good point.
Is there a lot of other systems that use these?
Yes.
Perfect, you answered. So why don't you keep a backup in your office, and if we need it, Mike can just run it up during the day.
Well, the chemicals come from the local chemical company, right? So he should have it on hand?
That's a good point. I don't know.
I have another question on this, we had talked, when I was on your office, you said this might possibly qualify for reimbursement from the State Water Commission?
Yes, it might possibly qualify because
That would be
we
good.
were originally planning to do this server upgrade work. We were originally planning to do it with the intake project. So it's kind of a gray area because obviously right now we're not going for the intake project, but it was intended to be done with the intake project. So it would be, again, a battle with the State Water Commission. I would lobby Jeffrey to cover this. I can't guarantee that it would be
Are you gonna
by
check with them
our
on that then?
cost share. Yeah, I would check with
Yeah, that would be good to know,
okay.
because that would really make it a lot easier to swallow.
Okay.
I just gotta throw this out there. Is there a contingency on this one too?
So,
Sorry, Eric.
Mike, this isn't unit price.
Okay.
It is unit price in that we're buying you 3 servers
Sure.
that we're direct billing for, that we have the price for. So we know the quantity, and we know the unit price for each one of them.
Yep, it is on there.
We know the quantity of software and what the price is for the software.
Okay.
Mike has those numbers. This isn't something where the quantities would change,
Right.
unless you would elect to not do the backup server. Then we just minus off 1 server for whatever it was, and Mike's labor, and Jason's labor.
I just had to give you a
So,
hard time.
yeah. No, I got it.
He saw you coming.
So then one question I would have would be, we talked about that, rural water was going to possibly cover 10%. Is that still on the table?
No. What you're saying, should they cover 10% of what we've already done?
I'm just throwing that out there.
That's a good question. We could sure ask them. I mean, it would be in the scope of the agreement with them, yeah. We could give him a call and see what she says, I guess. So, yeah, I think that'd be a very good point. It'd be 10% of our share, I guess, right?
Their whole concern was they were wanting to divide it into pieces for their funding, and so, we're just coming to the end of the year, so like, if that's still on the table and we need to address it with them, we need to do that. If it's not, then...
You could treat it as kind of how we're doing the cost share reimbursement request with State Water Commission. You could treat it like that, like you could go to Ann and say, hey, we spent this amount of money for 2019 for the intake projects to date, and say, this is 10%, this is 10% of that.
Right.
You could treat it like that, because, next year, which is another one, the next thing I want to talk about is the intake project. Next year, if we go forward, then it would be, okay, this is what our cost for 2020,
Right.
here's your 10%. You could, however you
That's
want
a
to
good
do it,
point.
look
Yeah.
at it.
Yeah, I think so.
Because it would be nice if the city could get, if they are getting 10% dedicated from McLean Sheridan, it would be nice to get some of that money.
Well,
For what you spent so far.
Yeah, and the project's not dead, it's just not going
It's on
forward
hold.
this year.
Yeah.
It's on hold, so, yeah. I would think that would make sense to ask them for money. Because I think they were on board with going ahead with this, so I think they said they were on board with that, yeah.
So there nowhere in your discussions was, if you don't move forward with it, then we're out of the picture, that was not discussed, so.
No, no, no.
Okay.
Just put on hold. Good question. Anything else on that from anybody?
Do you wanna wait on going forward on that, on the servers then, until we can talk to Jeffrey and
Yeah, if we find out more and
see if he can
few
cover
more
it?
questions, yeah, there and
Okay.
stuff, yeah, that'd be good.
All right, and the only other thing I wanted to make sure I talked about, Rainey probably has more on the talking with Ryan, but I wanna talk about the intake project. The State Water Commission and FEMA grants are good through 2021. Actually, the State Water Commission money is good till March of 2022, because it was a 4-year extension from, when Larry, when you were there to get the extension. They
Okay,
gave us 4 years extension, and that was March of 2018 when you did
Okay.
that.
quick question. FEMA, did we ever get awarded that?
Right now, so no. Quick answer is no. The Federal Office of Management and Budget, so I've been working with Senator Hoven's office to shake a stick at Federal Office of Management
Right.
and Budget, and they finally got them to release it from their office, and it's back with FEMA Region 8 to award.
Okay.
So that's a good thing. I think that we will hear something from them soon. But the only thing I know right now is that Hoven's office was successful in prying it out of the hands of the Federal Office of Management and Budget. So that's good. And more to follow on that. I will check in with Justin Messner at Department of Emergency Services again this week to see if he knows anything else. That was a message we got from Becky. It would have been late on Friday afternoon, I think.
Okay.
So Justin and I haven't talked since that email, but
Okay.
that's good news though. So the FEMA grant is good through 2021, and then we can actually get 2 more years of extension, 2020 through 2022, from an extension from FEMA Region 8, and from the FEMA headquarters in DC, another year extension beyond that. So the moral of that story, of that bullet, is that the grant money that we have right now for the intake project is very much alive. So we'll get more information from that FEMA grant though.
Okay.
The project is on the intended use plan for the SRF loan. It's been on there for the last couple of years because we've been submitting the update questionnaire. So just so you know, that's also still on there. So for next year, if we wanted to get an SRF loan, still the option on the table. Other funding possibilities that I wanted to talk about is I'm going to work with Justin on a FEMA grant increase request. If that's something that you guys, if we're still leaning forward on the intake project, I can most certainly do that. Talk with Justin, like, hey, this is a possibility, because we had talked about it before. Other thing is the pre-doc funding, which we don't know when we're going to find out about the pre-doc funding. It sounds like it could be next spring, summer, but it's all on how quickly pre-doc funding is based on how quickly the state oil tax revenues fill up all pots of money. They have various pots of money that got to fill up, and once all those pots fill up, then it trickles down into the pre-doc funding for all the communities of North Dakota. So those are the funding possibilities we're going to work on. That's our strategy, and then hopefully next year we can rebid the project if that's something the city wants to do. We can do that. So that's the update for the intake project. If there's any questions, and then Rainey, I think you talked to Ryan about and I'll let you handle that.
Yeah, he really didn't have too much to say in his email, just that they have gone through 2009 information, but now they're going to go back and do what are the initials that you call it, the quality, the checking?
QA/QC.
Yeah.
Yep.
So that they've got to do that yet, and then they were hoping to move on to the next task. but other than that, that was all his email
So-
basically said.
So we had the 3 tasks. Task 1 was the monster. That was going through all the special assessments, and it really was bad, just going through all the data to make sure what we had there was correct. So from talking to Ryan, it sounds like they're going to be done with that fairly soon, and they already had to start on task 2, and then he thinks that they'll be able to wrap it up quickly once they get on rolling and back into task 2. So hopefully, I know you guys mentioned it a couple times during the meeting about not knowing the financial situation, so we're working on that. I want to get you guys an answer as soon as we can.
That is so huge,
So,
yeah, exactly.
yeah.
So,
That's going to make your decisions, and a lot of the stuff you guys talked about in your meeting tonight, a lot easier when you can know where you're at. So we'll keep working on it and let you guys know.
any other questions for Eric?
Thanks.
Thank you. Portfolios? Colin?
Nothing at the water plant. The only thing I do wanna bring up, I think it should be addressed, is if we wanna address Main Street parking, overnight parking. Vehicles that are parked out there 24/7 during snow removal, especially. Can we just get some signs up, designate, and I'm talking just mainly the commercial business area, 'cause that's the part that, Brian's out there at 5 in the morning, and you gotta plow around cars and leave snowdrifts.
Oh, yeah, it's a real pain.
Yep.
I know.
So, and that's what I'm trying to address, is just mainly the commercial area, Main Street, maybe side streets a block away each side.
Right.
That there's, whether it be from, no parking from 1 AM to 6 AM, or just strictly no overnight parking. I don't know how we address that.
For snow removal, you mean, or?
Right, basically.
Well, thing is, I mean,
basically
it also affects street sweeping, although,
Right. But,
we
yeah.
plan that a little bit.
Not just even winter, but I'd like to see that summer too.
That's ordinance 48, where they have the 24-hour parking on Jewel Street, which they called Main Avenue, right?
Jewel is Main.
Mm-hmm. There's a 24-hour parking ordinance on there, right?
I don't know, it could be.
I think that's what I
Ordinance
read.
48, that's pretty old.
But my point, Mike, is, I mean,
Right.
you could come to work, or take off for work this morning at 8 o'clock, your vehicle's gone, and you park there, you leave the next day, you're not parking longer than 24 hours, but you're still impeding snow removal.
Yeah, but it's the whole Main
Right.
is the problem.
Right.
It's not just the downtown businesses. When they try to plow that off, they have to go around all the other cars on Main too. And then it
Well, that's
narrows
every
up the whole
street.
Main.
That's every street.
It's
Yeah.
every street. But usually Main is pretty well cleaned all the way through. Yeah, we can put up a lot of signs for a lot of stuff.
There
Are people
certain-
going to follow it?
There are certain people on downtown, in Main Avenue downtown, that never move their vehicles, and they always have to plow around them. And, it gets to be a real hassle, because not only that, then you have to come back and you have to clean it, if they decide to move it.
Right.
And not only that, but then the street's not cleaned. If it's cleaned except for one area, which is just, it's really hard to come back and clean, it just is, it's very time consuming. Bringing, kind of to add on to what you're saying, snow removal, you've got up on Border Lane. Whoever cleans up there, those businesses, they're pushing it across Border Lane again and right onto our boulevard. So if we get a big wind, it's gonna cause more problems. Do you know who the idea is cleaning up there again?
I don't know who's got it this time.
It's so annoying, and then our guys have to deal with it.
Then you can't push it up, because there's that hill there, and then once you really have to push back, it's like now you're fighting going uphill and you can't get up there.
Yeah.
I want to say in the ordinance, though, it also talks about that they have to haul their snow out, it cannot be pushed.
It could, yeah.
I want
We're
to say
gonna-
the ordinance that has that in there.
We'll
I'd
have to
go
check
back
on that
look.
and get a hold of them people, because they're causing a problem,
But that's even with chain link fences. The snow's not blowing through, it drops straight down by the one deal, you can't get through anymore. That's where the last car was plugged up and left overnight, right? Up there by, used to be Van Horn's, now that's where the car was stuffed in and just sitting there. Because the chain link fence stops all the snow and it drops right in that road up there, up by my place.
I
up
know
by
what you're
Ben-
talking about.
You know,
But-
and that stops
But
up
that
everything.
is on their property. That chain link fence is on their property, it's not on.
Right, but
the city property.
that's causing a problem with all that,
Well,
you know, coming
yeah.
off of there,
So do trees, but.
yeah. But then they start pushing the snow out too,
Yeah,
you know.
but yeah, but I think we need to deal with a lot more than, you know, just downtown. We'll have to recheck the ordinance and also the 48-hour parking, oh my gosh, you know, that's another one, you know.
That's pretty tough to enforce, I mean, I'm just.
Not really, well, not really, because there are individuals that they never move their vehicle. You plow around them, they bring their snow blower and they blow the snow around them. You know, they never move their vehicles. You know
They
what I'm talking
have,
about.
they have flat tires on them.
They never move. That's crap. They don't need to be there. They need to be off the street. You know, you can't sweep around them. You can't clean snow around them. I mean,
And you carry the snow, you avoid them, they'll clean out around their car, but you always end up, well, you don't wanna plug
you
them
carry
up.
their snow.
Carry it over,
Somebody else.
the neighbor gets it, and it's like, he gets it all winter long because of that.
Absolutely.
Or they just blow it in the driveway. There's a lot of people that just blow straight into the or in the
Oh, yeah.
street and just leave it
Yeah.
sit. And call you when there's too much slush in front of their place.
Yeah.
So yeah, it all can be improved, it's how are we gonna handle it? We're gonna pick on one person or we're gonna pick on everybody?
Well, you know, we need to get our law enforcement a little bit more involved, you know, they're dropping the ball, especially on a lot of this parking stuff and different things, you know.
Their beta deals, prisoner transfer, and that's charged to the city as hourly deal?
What?
Is that, well, isn't that on some of these beta deals? The beat deals? It'll say what they do once in a while in there. Well, they're doing security at the school, but then 10 minutes later, they do security again at the school. But it's still written down on that sheet.
Mm-hmm.
So it's one of those, then they do prisoner transfers, and it's written down on hours. I think, the way I'm reading it. I might not be reading it right, but it's showing up there.
Yeah, some other sheets than what's in here, right?
Yeah, well, did I read it up? Because it gives what they were doing at certain times, and I don't think it's in this one.
It's not in this one, I believe it was in your last month's one.
I think so, and it tells you that they're at the school,
detail.
the detail what they're doing for the hours that they're charging us.
Yeah.
And then, like I said, well, security check, but then they do it 10 minutes later or 5 minutes later.
They're not that busy.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Most days, some days they are.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but that, I don't understand the detailed, what they're printing out. Why are we getting hours for prisoner transfer? Or
Because
transfer,
it's the guy that
writing it
is
down,
working on Washburn, doing the prisoner transfer.
because he's here.
Yeah.
And,
But we don't have 24-hour coverage.
right, but it all adds up in the hours as they do it.
I've never added up the hours, so I don't know, but,
Well, that's what those reports are saying.
yeah. But, yeah, we need definitely, Main Street is your main business area. We need to keep that clean. Whether we come up with a policy, or whether we do our policy, or we put signs, we order signs.
There's people in the apartments that live there, there's always a couple that bang on the whole roll. Kim's usually pretty good about getting his stuff off, there's some, it's just that one area that's always got the same person. That's every ticket's gonna come in handy.
But, like the apartment, if it's snow heavy, whatever. Well,
All I got.
we'll have to do something.
The city hall here had furnace problems, but we believe we have that up and running, nothing real major the way it sounded, so that is taken care of. The memorial hall, everything seems to be working all right. We're still talking about getting a no waive fee for like when they use the kitchen, so that Julie can do the laundry, take care of that, or the chemical in there. It's expense that we have to come up with no matter what when they're in there. So we're still talking about that, trying to figure out a good price. The crushed concrete came in to the parking lot. It's a matter of getting packed down, leveled out good. I don't know if you've gotten a chance to get over there. Now that it snowed, it probably don't
You guys
matter.
went with the loader and
The skid steer was over there.
Yeah, and Chris ran over it with
the box scraper, yeah.
Yeah, so I don't know if it's, we'll see what it is. It might need to be
Yeah.
bladed or something, but hopefully when that gets packed down, we're gonna have a good parking lot.
Yeah, well, I think it will be. I think it will be.
So I think we are done, kinda with that project. I will be, when we get the grant and the match funding, then we'll start working on that elevator and looking at that closer. I wanna get that funding done first.
Okay.
And then we'll get after that one for this winter.
All right, very good. Well, yeah, I just had the, snow removal in vehicles was on my list, so, Randy?
I have a few things in my folder here. So there is, I got notice from the county of a property that was taken by McLean County by auditor tax deeds that will be offered for sale on November 19th. So,
There's only one, right?
correct.
By you?
So that you're aware of that.
It's by you, that property.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
You buy it.
I got no specials.
The next, I guess, kind of a question to Noel, this grant, this Twice Plus grant, is there something that we need to do to be promoting this? Because
Yep.
it's between November 15th and December 31st, is there some kind of,
Yep, I've got to come down and meet with you and we can get it all.
okay.
Yep.
And then I gave you the update on Nexus, and I just put another ad again in the paper for the planning and zoning. I have nothing from anybody on that, so put another ad in for that open position. So,
Two?
just the one position.
What was that one for, Ray?
Ray took the special assessment committee
Oh.
position.
Okay.
I might have somebody interested in planning and zoning, possibly, so, maybe. I'll talk to him.
No.
Is that it, Randy, or
That's it, yeah.
Brian? Anybody else? Just interested in hanging out? Nothing better to do? Okay. Bills?
Make a motion to pay the bills.
Second.
Okay, discussion, you're gonna check with, like the ambulance and them on that other, that,
I can ask them.
we'll pay the bill, but, because we can't, but then, yeah, so second, so. Oh,
Aye.
Mike?
Aye.
Well,
Aye.
yes, next meeting, December 9th. Thank you everyone for coming, appreciate it. Meeting adjourned.
No, if she emails me a copy that's highlighted, then
Okay.
I was really hoping she would have a ridiculous one.
Right.
Did you get a chance to see if anybody does inspections, camera inspections that we talked about for that other, the camera for the culverts? That other culvert I'm worried about?
Oh.
Remember we talked about it?
Yeah, there's, I couldn't tell you the name of the company
Okay.
off the top of my head, but there is some that would be able to run a camera down them. That's basically what they would do, is they'd hook up their camera and order it down and take a video
Because I was thinking next year we should look just after spring. It's probably too late this year anyway, to do anything about it.
Oh, yeah.
You know,
yeah,
for
no,
that,
with the-
that
with
one
the
up
weather
there.
conditions the way they are,
Yeah,
it'd be
but I mean,
better off
Do
after,
you have a copy for him to sign?
I do have one, but I think he had one too.
Okay, I just wanna make sure you don't need this one.
No, I'll either give him mine, so I have a copy, or I'll have him sign his, whichever.
And Randy clears out the sign.
Oh, thank you.
Well, thank you, Dirk.
Yeah, thank you.
Give you a hard time.
Hey,
Gotta
you're
do my job.
you're doing your job. That's the way that I see it, so no problem. Like I said, there's things that we can do, that we probably do better, so I'm gonna focus on, I appreciate, frank and honest feedback. So that's, if I didn't get that from you, then I wouldn't be able to do anything different. So if I can do stuff better, then I will. I will, I most certainly will.
Checks. Where are the checks? There's the
they're in here, the checks, I think.
Oh, they're here.
Oh, that's a Lloyd one. I'll keep looking at the camera system, but I should talk to Adam a little bit about it too.
And I would say, you know, check out, if you're gonna, not just this room, but I would say the hall as well. I sent an email to Brad Reynes today, because Julie came in on Friday. And so I just addressed some things with the school, and so it's like, it would be nice to have that camera system, just to kind of check up on some things, I'll just tell you that.
I'm playing with PVZ pan tilt zoom camera system right now.
Yeah.
And you can control it from your cell phone and.
Is that same system that you have?
Yep, and it's on a patrol system though. So you can set the presets and it'll patrol as it goes around. But I don't know if that system would be easy to upload into the YouTube. I haven't tried that yet. But I think that has a thumb drive where you can put a thumb drive in and pull that off of there. You know, that time period. But
And then you can very easily, because then all you do is take that clip and drop it into YouTube, and then
Right.
it downloads. And that's been most of the battle, is downloading into the YouTube, it just
I know, right?
does
That
not.
one looks bad.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, I'm playing kind of treasure, they'll be
You
able
can see, on that camera system, every camera you put in has a mic on it. So you could try different mics to pick up the sound better. But I don't know how big a pain it would be. I want to keep working on this. You know, this is working not well. I think we can find a better system for you that you might like. And Adam might have some ideas too. Something else. 'Cause that's what I was thinking.
I would just say, just keep in mind too, the hall at the same time.
Right, because this point zoom camera can be a standalone that goes right into a computer. But I don't think we want to hook a computer into that, just in case there's some hacker